At 68 years old, country music legend Dwight Yoakam has finally broken his silence, and what he just revealed is sending shockwaves through Nashville and beyond. For decades, fans and critics alike have whispered, speculated, and wondered about the man behind the rhinestone suits and signature twang. Was there truth behind the rumors that followed him throughout his rise to fame? Well, wonder no more, because Dwight just confirmed what many long suspected, and it changes everything. So buckle up, because this isn't just another story about guitars and Cadillacs. This is the real Dwight Yoakam, unfiltered and finally ready to speak. Chapter 2. Path to Stardom. Before Dwight Yoakam became a household name in country music, his path to stardom was marked by raw determination, countless rejections, and late nights in smoky barrooms. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, he began performing in small venues around Southern California, a place not known at the time for embracing the twang of traditional country music. Yet, Dwight's brand of hillbilly honky-tonk stood in stark contrast to the polished, pop-oriented country dominating Nashville. He refused to conform to the urban cowboy trend of the era, instead leaning into the gritty sounds of Bakersfield and rockabilly influences. This commitment to authenticity made it difficult for him to find gigs at first, but it also set him apart from a crowd. Yoakam's shows were raw and unflinching. He performed 5 sets a night in bars where fights broke out and beer bottles might sail through the air at any time. In spite of the seedy surroundings, he took every performance as an opportunity to hone his art. Without mainstream cachet or label support, Dwight had to rely on word-of-mouth support, converting crowds one song at a time. These early years, marred by adversity and uncertainty, served to forge the fire and edge that would eventually characterize his distinctive sound and live performances. Interestingly enough, Dwight's first attempts to penetrate the Nashville market were met with indifference. He went to Music City in 1976 only to discover the business had its priorities focused more on songwriters and polished studio acts, and was less interested in live acts. He then knew that Nashville back then had more to do with publishing than with personality, and his rough-around-the-edges, high-energy stage act was not part of their model. Rather than conforming, Dwight made the bold move to break from the outside in and show that innovation was achievable in tradition. These early struggles laid the groundwork for what would be a seismic revolution for country music. By being true to his heritage and embracing the gritty environment that embraced his music, Dwight Yoakam built a loyal base long before he ever found himself chart-topping. His life in the trenches gave him both seasoning and legitimacy, something that can't be faked in a studio. When he finally came out with Guitars, Cadillacs, it wasn't a hit song. It was the battle cry of a man who had worked his way up and never compromised on his ideals. After years of rejection, Yoakam's breakthrough wasn't just a debut. It was proof that staying true to his roots could change country music forever. Breakthrough with Guitars, Cadillacs. Dwight Yoakam's 1986 debut album, Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., was more than just a strong first release. It was a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of country music. At a time when the genre was drifting toward pop-driven production, Yoakam's record brought it back to its raw, rootsy essence. Produced by longtime collaborator Pete Anderson, the album embraced the Bakersfield sound, a California-born branch of country known for its twangy guitars, sharp edge, and honky-tonk heartbeat. From the very first notes, it was clear Yoakam wasn't chasing trends. He was creating a new lane grounded in tradition but delivered with a rock and roll spirit. The lead single off the album, a cover of Johnny Horton's Honky Tonk Man, rapidly climbed the charts and brought Yoakam's distinct style to a national stage. However, it was the title track, Guitars, Cadillacs, that best marked his debut. With its catchy guitar riffs, lonely lyrics, and swaggering confidence, the song became the career-defining anthem of Yoakam. Its success on the country charts and in surprising urban markets demonstrated that Dwight was onto something larger, a growing hunger for authenticity in a genre many believed had lost its edge. Guitars, Cadillacs, etc., etc., actually brought down the house on the charts as much with audiences as with critics. The album went on to earn double platinum status, with Yoakam being hailed as having redefined cool and credibility in country music. Other artists were then set apart from him by a synthesis of die-hard songwriting, showmanship, and a respect for the heroes of the genre. Dwight didn't just do country. He lived it and reminded everybody what it sounded like without gimmicks. His vintage persona and rebellious attitude made him both revivalist and revolutionary. Guitars, Cadillacs became the official launching pad for Dwight Yoakam as a force in country music and instantly changed the course of his career. He no longer played dive bars and rock clubs in Los Angeles, but sold out venues around the country. More importantly, he proved to the industry, and to Nashville, that there was still room for risk-takers. That new idea became the launch pad for a career extending over decades and influencing hundreds of artists, securing a permanent spot in the history of country music. Chapter 3. Beck and the Unexpected Evolution. Dwight Yoakam's collaboration with Beck marked a surprising and transformative chapter in his career. Known for blending genres and defying convention, Beck brought a fresh, experimental approach to Yoakam's traditionalist roots. Their creative partnership began during the production of Yoakam's 2012 album 3 Pairs, where Beck co-produced 2 tracks. This unlikely pairing bridged generational and stylistic gaps, proving that country music could evolve without losing its soul. Beck's influence encouraged Yoakam to embrace a more freewheeling studio process, blending raw honesty with sonic innovation. One of the most pivotal moments in their collaboration came during the recording of A Heart Like Mine. Yoakam had laid down a scratch track with electric guitar, an instrument he typically didn't take the lead on, and Beck insisted he keep the take. This moment symbolized a shift in Yoakam's creative mindset. He let go of perfectionism and leaned into authenticity, capturing the emotional immediacy that had defined his early work. The partnership also brought Yoakam a new audience, indie and alt-rock fans who might not have otherwise heard his music. Beck's experimental nature complemented surprisingly well with Yoakam's Bakersfield twang, creating a sound that was both classic and modern. Tracks such as Take Hold of My Hand and Rock It All Away showed the depth of this cross-pollination, where pedal steel guitars spun around layered vocal harmonies and creative rhythms. Aside from the music, the Beck collaboration also marked a larger shift in Yoakam's artistry. It reminded listeners and critics alike that he was more than a country traditionalist, but a genre-bending artist willing to take risks. What they did together proved that development doesn't necessarily equate to reinvention, but can also mean stripping away the layers to rediscover something fundamental. Most of all, the Beck partnership confirmed for Yoakam that creative development has to emerge from a sense of personal honesty and not commercial calculation. Rather than attempting to fit the bill of industry norms or radio popularity, Yoakam went for a more intuitive, emotion-driven approach, leaving things up to his instincts and the immediacy of the moment. This transition paved the way for greater self-expression in both his production and songwriting, reminding him that vulnerability and improvisation can be stronger than sheen. In retrospect, working with Beck wasn't a creative sidestep, it was a reclaiming of artistic liberty that still resonates in his music today. From stage to screen. While Dwight Yoakam first rose to fame as a country music trailblazer, his talents were never confined to the stage alone. Early in his career, Yoakam dabbled in acting through school plays and community theater, discovering a knack for holding an audience's attention. This early exposure to performance beyond music sparked an interest that would eventually lead him to Hollywood. Although his focus remained on music during the peak of his recording success, Yoakam always harbored a desire to expand his storytelling through film and television, seeking roles that resonated with his artistic sensibilities. Yoakam's breakout acting role came in 1996 when he played the abusive Doyle Hargraves in the movie Sling Blade. The dark, emotionally charged performance stunned audiences and critics alike, showcasing a side of Yoakam that few had seen before. His raw portrayal earned him widespread praise and helped establish him as a serious actor, not just a musician dabbling in film. The success of Sling Blade opened doors for Yoakam in the acting world, where his understated yet intense style brought authenticity to every character he portrayed. Through the years, Yoakam accumulated an impressive resume, appearing in films such as Panic Room, The Newton Boys, and Crank. He also made memorable television appearances in Under the Dome and Wilfred, demonstrating his versatility and commitment to storytelling.